Shares of Tesla down 65% this year, while CEO Elon Musk is busy engaging in minute-by-minute Twitter trolling. The world's most valuable car company is apparently not fully autonomous. The latest feud between Musk and one of Tesla's biggest supporters, investor Ross Gerber. Elon asking Gerber for his, quote, great ideas, to which Gerber replied, Tesla needs a media and comms team, a succession plan, and some clarity when he'll be back from Twitter. And lastly, that Elon needs to communicate about stock sales, now $23 billion since late April. Mr. Musk then firing back. Go back and read your old Securities Analysis 101 textbook. Popcorn-worthy stuff. Here to respond, the aforementioned co-founder and CEO of Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management, Ross Gerber. Good to see you, sir. Your response to that latest barb from Elon Musk.
Well, I spent the night reading my securities analysis book. I figured I would since, why not, right? And I've got my friend Gary Black over at the Future Fund, who is actually my securities analyst, and he's quite good. And he responded, I think, correctly with actual facts. And we all know that Tesla's down because of Twitter and because of the distraction and unfortunately the brand value that's been somewhat impacted on the short term because of the perception differential between Elon and many of his customers. But really, my goal is really to help Elon. There's nothing more or less than that. I'm an investor in Tesla, and I'm going to stay as an investor in Tesla. And I represent my investors who are invested in Tesla and the Tesla community. And we care about Elon. But when your friend goes astray, you can either be the type of friend who doesn't say anything, or you say something and maybe that person doesn't like it so much, but hopefully he understands that I'm trying to do what's best for everybody. And that's the whole point of all of this, is that Twitter isn't good for him. It's not the right role for him to be CEO. And now I think he's taking the right action, which is finding a good CEO for Twitter and focusing on the technology side of Twitter, which I think he'll do a wonderful job on, and then getting back to really focused on Tesla and SpaceX and all the amazing accomplishments that we want to achieve over the next, year to 5 years.
So, Ross, expanding it out even more, because Elon Musk, in addition to that 101 analysis response, he did break it down a little bit more, because he did say that in simple terms, as bank savings account interest rates, which are guaranteed, start to approach stock market returns, which are not guaranteed, people will increasingly move their money out of stocks into cash, thus causing stocks to drop. I know you're saying that the big issue here, the main issue, is the fact of the distraction of Twitter right now, but you're not at all concerned about rising rates and what that could mean, at least for Tesla's story in the near term?
Well, of course, with all stocks, you get a PE contraction when rates go up, and that's just normal. Whether you remember Tesla's PE was 100, so a PE contraction would make more sense for it to go maybe to 75 or 60. Now we're looking at a forward PE for Tesla of somewhere around 20 to 25. So part of the decline in all of the stock market, and you can look at the S&P or the NASDAQ as the general index down anywhere from 20 to 30%. A concentrated fund like mine, GK, which owns 40 stocks, is down 40% because we're tech heavy and consumer discretionary heavy. And so when you look at a stock like Tesla down now 65%, one has to accept the reality that this is not market forces creating this decline. And a lot of it, in my mind, is just dilution from the ongoing stock sales in the tens of billions of dollars from Mr. Musk himself.
Yeah, Tesla down more than twice the NASDAQ, down dramatically more than Ford or GM, just for comparison.
And this is while earnings are growing at over 50%. Now, there are many NASDAQ companies where earnings are not growing anymore, and there's a concern. Remember, this is the best performing company in the NASDAQ that's a large cap for earnings growth.
Do you believe that he is, in fact, searching for a replacement as CEO of Twitter?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't think he's having a good time right now doing this. I think it's a real painful process, and he's put a ton of energy and effort into it. And I give him a lot of credit because he dives into these things, and it's super hard what he's trying to do. I get his frustration getting criticism from me. I totally get it. But I care about Tesla first, and I represent, as a fiduciary, my shareholders who have lost tens of millions of dollars in value in what they perceive is because of Elon's behavior. And so, it's my job to try to do what's best for Tesla's shareholders and my shareholders. And, ultimately Elon and my interests are aligned. So hopefully he sees I'm trying to do what's best for everybody.
But Ross, you attribute that dramatic a fall, 64%, strictly to his behavior, nothing to do with demand, nothing to do with having not enough models, a smaller, cheaper EV, as some are clamoring for, what's going on in China. This is strictly about behavior.
Okay, let's be real. Okay, there's EVs are selling like hotcakes right now. I mean, gas prices were $6. Now they finally come down to $5 here in California. When I get on the road right now, there's about 20 brand new Teslas in front of me. There is no issue with selling EVs if you have an EV to sell. Okay, so we've had prices going up in cars and used cars for a long time, along with gas prices were main drivers of inflation. So drivers and people want to cut their cost of living, and a Tesla is the way to do that. There's no change in demand globally for Tesla, not to mention the fleet sales to the Hertzes and the Avises that all want to upgrade to EVs. So this is really where the frustration lies. There's no issues. The biggest issue I see right now is China on the short term because of the COVID policy changes are definitely disruptive. And I expect some disruption at Tesla that'll be very short term. But when you look out into 23, Tesla should have an amazing year. Like new products, Cybertruck, they just launched the Semi. They've totally cornered the market in charging. The business is growing. I mean, it's just an amazing company in every way. And that's why I'm so annoyed, is because the story has changed from what is an amazing company. I mean, we were talking about mega pack production the other day for utilities and what the opportunity for that is. This is a golden era for Tesla. And that's what the focus should be, not, yelling at Fauci because he's weird or something. I don't know.
Well, Ross, what about some of that lasting backlash, though? Because I think many people maybe who had already purchased a Tesla or were thinking about purchasing a Tesla, they now don't want to be associated with that brand because of what has played out over the last several months. I guess how big of an overhang do you see that being, and how long until some of that dust settles?
Well, I say two things to that. One, if you buy an ICE car, you are sending money and supporting Putin in Saudi Arabia. So clearly, Elon's tweeting isn't as comparable, right, to who you're supporting. Secondly, Henry Ford was a Nazi, and it was, it doesn't really hurt Ford sales that this is a fact, and this was a fact even back then. So I think people make purchases for a lot of reasons. But what I polled on Twitter, Tesla followers of mine and owners, what I found was fairly surprising was that 60% consider themselves independent. So most Tesla owners are actually independent thinkers, and they're going to make their decisions on their own, irrelevant of politics. So that's the good news. The bad news is our core demographic is generally liberal, and it's generally here in California, actually. And many of the states that are conservative, you can't even buy a Tesla legally. So when you're annoying your core demographic, there is a brand risk, and I think it can be mitigated if it's dealt with now. And that's why I want more PR and comms coming out of Tesla to mitigate maybe the political issues that Elon's now gotten involved with. But I think politics is a bad way to sell cars, and so this is the issue.
All right, Ross Gerber, great to have you here on Yahoo Finance. I know we always love having you back, getting your perspective here on Tesla. I'm sure we will speak with you very, very soon. Thanks so much for joining us.